In our first story, farmers at Zingu in the Wa municipality of the Upper West say lack of access roads to farms is contributing to post-harvest losses in the region. They to their farms crossing streams as a result of that. Several of their produce are left to rot at the farms because they are unable to carry them. Joy News Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam visited Zingu. Here is his report.
Zingu, located at the outskirts of the Wa municipality, is a predominant farming community. The people are subsistence farmers. They solely depend on produce cultivated on their farms for survival. The roads to the farms are narrow, bumpy, and deplorable. At worst, they have to cross streams with their animals to enable them have access to their farms. They pass through the water, sometimes at their chest level. Alas, it is not for the faint-hearted, and they usually cross the stream with butterflies in their stomach. Our camera spotted this 70-year-old woman making an attempt to cross the stream at a snail's pace. Ali Sabana, who is in his early 40s, has a rice farm across the stream. On his way to the farm, he usually parks his bicycle few meters away from the stream and wobbled across with the water at a thigh level. He swims when it is at the chest level. Ali Sabana spoke of the challenge he faced crossing the stream to the farm. There are several dangerous things beneath the water: crocodiles, snakes, and fish. Sometimes we have cuts on our legs if we mistakenly step on the fish. There are other plants that are on the stream which are replete with thorns. We also have cuts from them. There are other routes to the farms without passing through the stream. However, it can only be done on foot using these small paths. Farmers in this community say they would have loved to increase their production, but the lack of access roads to their farms has made them to truncate those plans. Middle-aged Leticia Salier is the leader of the Zingu Balamunabala Yiri Farmers Group.
You don't have roads whereby if you say any motorcade should come here, it won't get a road to where you come to pick the food for you home. So we are struggling. We don't have means whereby they can take the food home.
Few meters away from the stream is a 2-acre rice farm that belongs to Al-Hassan Adam. Al-Hassan depends on the benevolence of these women from the 41-member Balayiri Farmers Group to harvest the rice.
These 2 acres, I use my fingers and this knife to take it one by one. I can take it today, even I can take it 2 months himself. So let's say that fire can burn some, and the kettles too can destroy it. So I need help to.
They have no knowledge of a combine harvester. In fact, there is no single combine harvester in the Upper West region. Kitchen knives are therefore used to harvest the rice. As a result of that, they are unable to cover the entire rice farm. Several tons of rice are therefore left to go waste.
We always feel that we are lost because you see them in the farm here. You go and you can't sleep. Your food is wasted in the farm. If you go and you can't sleep and it pains you, but what will you do? Everything will be there, spoiled, and fire will come and burn. That's all.
Netherlands Development Organization SMB Countries Program Coordinator Eric Banye, whose organization has held several fora on the need to tackle post-harvest loss in the Upper West region, is deeply concerned about the situation.
We cannot be promoting agric alone, supplying all the incentives, and forget that there will be high losses. What's the essence in supporting a farmer to produce 10 acres when he can technically not harvest 10 acres? Or he will harvest the 10 acres but he can technically not keep 10 acres in his house as a result of poor storage. What's the essence? Virtually no essence. So as we promote agric as an alternative to industrializing this country, I think it is also a responsibility to look at what are the lost areas.
The issue of post-harvest loss is real and needs to be tackled head-on. The hard-working farmers have done their best to produce the food. It will be disingenuous to allow their toil to go waste. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Zinu.
The Peasant Farmers Association is calling on government to introduce policies that will allow better access to credit facilities. The Executive Director, Victoria Dongo, tells Joy News it's difficult for farmers to access loans because the banks demand what he described as colossal collaterals. Joy News' Henry Kwesi-Bedu has been engaging some farmers and reports.
This is Al Hassan Agbo's farmland. He has been cultivating vegetables to feed his household for the past 2 decades. Al Hassan cultivates 1 hectare out of the total 3 hectares due to scarce resources.
It's about 2.5 hectares farm. And I do cultivate about 1.5 acres due to lack of funds. And secondly, we are irrigation farmers, and there is also lack of inadequate water. Inadequate water. Because of these 2 challenges, I have to cultivate just a few, about 2.5 acres at a time, because of this challenge.
His key challenge is financing. From inputs, seedlings, and paying for labor services, money is involved every step of the way.
Because there's no money, banks are not able to assist. You have to go to maybe the ladies who takes produce from you to lend money, maybe at a high rate, or maybe you don't get at all. So this is the way we do get money to pay for our labors, sometimes through our local customers.
As we mark Farmers' Day, the Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Victoria Dongo, is demanding that government provides access to credit and introduce insurance schemes to support farmers.
Provide farm insurance for farmers, If the government can guarantee on that if the farmer is not able to pay the loan, the government or the insurance can pay off the loan. I think for starters, that will help. The second thing that I think that the government should do is to impress on the Bank of Ghana, to even not the Bank of Ghana. I think the government should come up with a regulation or a policy, whatever, that a certain percentage of the loan portfolios in the banks should be set aside for smallholder farmers.
The national president, Mohamed Abdullani, a cotton farmer himself, recounts his ordeal accessing a loan.
More than 10 or 12 years ago, since 2001, I struggled to get loan from ADB. I couldn't get loan. I needed to buy a tractor. I could not get. I wanted to expand my farm. I could not get. Simply because there are 2 issues. One of the issues has to do with collateral. They'll be asking you to come with a collateral that, and as a poor farmer or a peasant farmer, how are you coming by that? Sometimes when you give them your car document or your tractor document, if you have it, they don't need it. They need a land or something that is within their category, but they may not like those that you have. The other issue has to do with the percentage. The interest rate is very, very high. As a peasant farmer, when you take it, at the end of the day, you see that it is difficult for you to be able to pay those loans that you have taken from them. So it is always difficult getting access to bank loans.
He wants the Agri-Development Bank to focus on its original mandate of supporting agribusinesses in the country.
ADB was put purposely to support farmers to have access to their businesses. But it's rather unfortunate that ADB does not support farmers now. What they are looking into business people. The farmers doesn't have access to credit from ADB.
Statistics have shown that more than 30% of farm produce is lost annually through post-harvest losses. The association is appealing to government to provide storage facilities to address the problem. Henry Kwesi-Bedu's report for Joy News.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Okudzeto, says prices of foodstuff in the urban areas have hit a record low. He attributes this to what he calls the huge success of government's Planting for Food and Jobs initiative. Under the initiative, government claims it has distributed farm inputs and given funding to hundreds of Ghanaian farmers in a bid to boost agriculture. The minister is assuring that prices will continue to dip.
If you go to the market, you should be able to tell me whether food is cheap or not. Food prices in the urban areas have never been so cheap. It's touched, the Planting for Food and Jobs has touched every one of the 29 million people in Ghana. Anybody who feigns ignorance is just deceiving themselves, because I'm getting the signals everywhere I've been. The last 3 months I've been pacing up and down the country, all the regions, and everywhere I've been, the evidence is very clear that food prices have come down substantially, and I would say that historically food has never been so cheap and plentiful. And this is only the beginning, you know. I mean, next year in 2020, when we have all these machinery and the seeds and everything, doing everything right, the quantities will be impossible. But by then, of course, we will have put in the capacity to process the food. We will have had enough storage space and all those things, so we'll be able to manage the surpluses better. Rome was not built in a day, and we intend to go steadily to achieve this very, very quickly, the transformation that is the vision of Nana Addo Dankwa.
He also says the ministry will be targeting 1 million people under the Planting for Food and Jobs in coming years, following the success of the initiative. The program, which was introduced by the incumbent government, is aimed to boost crop yields and cut down the nation's food imports. Speaking to Joy News, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Dr. Okudzeto, said they will continue to expand the program following the significant increases in maize and rice yields experienced last year.
Ghana produces, before we took over, 1.7 million metric tons of maize, okay? Now, we 200,000 farmers that we worked with, the 202,000 farmers that we worked with in 2017, were able to produce 458,000 metric tons of additional maize, 180,000 metric tons of additional rice, and so on and so forth. So and create 745,000 jobs. So that is not a small achievement for a program we just started in 1 year. And this year we are expecting more, because our target, we raised the target from 202,000 2017 to 500,000. And as we come to the end of the 2018 season with a late harvest, we are counting 600,000 people participating. So it means that in 1 year it's jumped 3 times, from around 200,000 to 600,000. As a result, we are revising our target for 2019. We'll hit 1 million. It shows you that the program has taken roots and is getting more and more popular with farmers, which is what we aim to.
So how are farmers up north observing Farmers' Day today? Let's cross over to the Upper West region and speak to our correspondent, Rafiq Salam. Hello, Rafiq.
Hello.
Rafiq,
Perry.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Perry.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
And how is Wa?
Oh, Wa is moving on well, and then the on the celebration, they are in the mood of the celebration of the farmers there, and everything is going on well.
Good. So how are farmers in Wa observing this day?
There's no regional celebration of this day, and so the 11 municipal and district assemblies in the region are having their day at their bureau centers. I want to talk about two places, talking about the one municipality. They are having the Farmers Day at Yibili, about 10 kilometers away from the Wa Township, and also at Fiang. That's where the Fimabuse is. They are also doing their celebration. So the celebration is going on well, and then the farmers are really happy. The concerns, like we talked earlier, has to do with their credit facilities, has to do with the lack of access to, and also lack of a combined harvester for rice farmers. But at the end of the day, they will be rewarded with a motorcane cycle, Wellington boots, cloth, and then also a radio set.
Okay, Rafik, you've heard a story about farmers crossing a river to access their farms. Have you heard from them today, being Farmers Day?
Yes, I spoke to the leader of the Baleri farmers, Madame Leticia, and she told me that she was happy that a day like this has come, and then they will go to the Farmers Day at Yibile, and then they will send their grievances across. And they are really hoping that at least the government will really work on the roads for them to have access to their farms instead of swimming at their farm.
But generally, you think that the celebrations across the municipalities and in the districts have gone well today, right?
That it has gone on well. The only challenge or things that the awardees are not really happy about is what they have been given to them as their awards, talking about a tricycle given to the best farmer in a district, or also somebody worked hard, I didn't know he's given Wellington boot. For them, some of them, they think that it's really not enough.
Well, thank you very much, Rafik. You are watching News Today with me, Perry Okudzeto. Still to come, government deploys 140 personnel from the Nation Builders Corps to areas affected by illegal mining. Stay tuned for details. Thanks for staying with us. 140 personnel under the Nation Builders Corps, NABCO, program will be deployed to areas affected by illegal mining. The personnel trained in flying drones will gather data which are critical in the fight against illegal mining through images at these sites. Apart from training in flying drones at the University of Mines and Technology at Takwa, the personnel have been given 2 weeks military training. Environment Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng disclosed this at a ceremony to bring the 2 weeks training to a close. There are more details in the following report by correspondent Kwame Yanka.
Since last year, government has been resolute in winning the fight against illegal mining. After placing a ban on small-scale mining to check illegalities in the sector, government also deployed a military and police team to arrest those who were flouting the directive in various parts of the country. The latest addition to this fight is 140 personnel from the Nation Builders Corps program, who will be deployed to areas affected by illegal mining. After receiving training including a 2-week confidence and team building session at the 64 Infantry Regiment at Ishichwari in the Greater Accra region, the determination in the eyes of these personnel is enough to tell how poised they are to fight illegal mining. Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng maintains the fight against illegal mining is government's priority.
We have a software called the Galam Stop. And it's a software which we are deploying to follow the life cycle of application. In the past, if a miner wanted to get a license, you go to Minerals Commission apply for licenses, we go through the process, and after the Minerals Commission has given the licenses, we move to the EPA, and then through the regulatory agencies. But the GALAMSOP has been programmed in such a way that when you go to Minerals Commission, EPA will be triggered, so you don't have to go to EPA. So all the agencies will be triggered, and they will do their part of the licensing process, so that at the end of 90 days, you should get your license. And so some of these people will also be involved in that kind of exercise.
According to Professor Pempom Blacken, some of the personnel will be deployed to various institutions in the mining sector. Some of the personnel have been sharing their experience.
When I was coming, I can't even push for about even a second. But right now, I can even push for about 5 to 10 minutes.
At first, it wasn't easy, but for now, we are used to it right now.
At first, I thought military is all about maybe just wearing their attire, but now I can see it wasn't about that. It tells a lot.
Yeah, I believe that from here we are going to have various districts to work as drone pilots for Mother Ghana to enable us to do away with illegal mining in the country.
I didn't take it easy at all. I decided even to go home. Military. First, I didn't know their duties, but for now, I've seen their duties. I've given them all the respect. I salute them.
They are expected to exhibit high standard of professionalism after deployment. Kwame Yanke's report for Joy News.
The Ghana Health Service and the United Nations Populations Fund are urging the Ghana Education Service to institutionalize adolescent reproductive health clubs in schools across the country to help avert teenage pregnancy and other sexual abuses. At the launch of the Adolescent Reproductive Health Club at Cape Coast School for the Deaf, the UNFPA and the Ghana Health Service were optimistic many girls will understand the changes that occur in their bodies and protect themselves. Richard Kwejo Nyakon has more.
United Nations Population Fund and the Ghana Health Service say adolescent clubs have become very important aspects in the development of adolescents in the country. These clubs that are set up in schools help girls who feel shy to discuss adolescent reproductive and sexual health issues with their parents, to discuss them with their peers with the guidance of a coordinator. Central Regional Chief Nursing and Midwifery Director Stella Saki says the institutionalization of adolescent health clubs in schools will be a viable tool to help avert numerous abortions and teenage pregnancies.
At the same time, they tend to have feelings. And with these feelings come along the reproductive and sexual health issues, where they become sexually active. And when they become sexually active, we have teenage pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, abortions, maternal deaths, to mention a few. And so if we want to actually reduce such incidences among our youth, there is a need to have these clubs, which are adolescent clubs, in the schools.
According to the Gender Ministry, research has shown that children talk to their friends more on sexual health than their parents, and more effort must be engineered to take advantage of that in a healthier manner. Central Regional Director of Gender, Daryl Eriakpe, is optimistic the setting up of the clubs will enable them develop their potentials.
And as we move on, we want to encourage you to continue to speak up against any form of sexual harassment, any form of violence that will affect the totality of your health. Your health is your wealth.
Head teacher of the Cape Coast School for the Deaf, Setumti Ametewi, says the move to launch the club in the school for the students with disabilities will help a great deal, since many of such students are vulnerable. Richard Kwejo Nyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.